the keys that we need to implement the law of attraction. So I welcome you guys here today, and I welcome our viewers who are viewing us through live streaming. And I'm going to be talking from Strutton Smith's 4 T's Prosperity Program. I went back into the early 90s, no, late 90s, when I took this course with Edith and Daryl. And there was this part of me that wanted to talk about imagination, and I knew that it was important. And the keys that Strutton Smith gives us in this book, there's actually 7, but in this lesson, he talks about the 3 keys: faith, imagination, and substance. These are the 3 of the 7 spiritual keys that he mentions. And in this portion, he breaks them out. So substance. Substance is that God material, that God essence, that potentiality, all of those words that we use to describe the thing in back of the material. In back of the chair, in back of me, in back of you. There is a substance from which everything derived from. And that's that God substance. And it is absolutely everywhere present. We say 3 things. We use the omnis: omnipresent, omniscience, and
omnipotent.
There you go. So basically what that means, omnipotent, all of those means God is all-powerful, everywhere present, and all-knowing. So one of the truths that we have to accept to be able to move forward is that God is good. It's a truth that exists. It is good. It is only good. And that goodness responds to our deepest level of thinking and feeling. And what we are thinking and what we are feeling is what we are creating. Ultimately, the law of attraction. So, this substance, it exists. It just is. It's the liquid potentiality of anything. So we start with that as a groundwork, that there is this good, and it is waiting for our impression upon it. So if we accept that that is one of the keys that unlocks the law of attraction within us, then we can move to the next one. And that is our faith. I'm going to go back one step. I want to read this one thing that he says about substance. The idea of substance comes from the Latin word substare. That is to stand under, to substance. Spiritual substance stands under every manifested thing. It is not matter. It is the non-material essence of matter. It is the God energy that is brought forth into fruition. So we have this substance. And then we have this other key, and it's called faith. And the faith that we have, it actually shapes and forms substance. And what I'm here to tell you today, you have all of the faith that you will ever have. You have 100% of it right now. What is missing is our awareness of it. And that's when I talk about building up our faith bank. When we do things and when we do treatment and we have a fulfilling of that treatment, it builds that faith bank. So it's not that it creates more faith in us. It creates a deeper awareness and understanding of that faith and our ability to use it as a tool for good. Ernest Holmes defined faith in this manner. The thought of faith molds the undifferentiated substance and brings into manifestation that thing which was fashioned in mind. This is how faith brings our desires to pass. So part of using that tool of faith is that it's based on our belief of how we perceive and see the world. So when we want to up our quotient of faith, we have to look at what our belief is. And we might have to change some of our beliefs, because some of our beliefs have been handed to us by our parents, by society, and by that tribal race mind when we are being unconscious. We accept that mind as being more definitive than our own. So it says here, what you really need is more awareness of how belief activates faith to shape form and substance. And by doing so, you will know how to use your belief to create the world that you desire. Faith is a movement of mind in which we determine what is true and what isn't true. And the surprising thing is that we use faith all the time. We might not call it that. We might call it our gut instinct. That feels right. That feels good. No, that's, ooh, I don't want to be there. I don't believe that. That's not a true statement. We have this within us, and we use it all the time. We just don't call it by its name, and that is faith. So every time when we read something or we listen to a song, like listening to that song just now, how did you feel about that? Did that resonate with you and go, yeah, that's true, I love it. You know, you could feel it, you could buy into what was being said. Or did you sit there and go, because that will also show you where your belief is. If you don't believe it's good and getting better, then that song would not have sat well with you. But if you do believe that things are good and are getting better, then that will resonate with you as well, and your heart will sing to that song. Mine does. So when we use our capacity of faith to determine what is true, we actually release a flow of creative energy within us. I saw, some people in the audience go, oh yeah, like they were being moved, feet tapping a little bit, little rock and going. That creates movement, and that movement releases within us a creative force. And that creative force is spirit wanting to be expressed. And that is what shapes and forms this substance. And it converts it from the invisible into the visible. We've all heard, throughout the Bible, throughout other religious traditions, according to your faith, it is done unto you. What you believe, you can achieve. What you can perceive, you can achieve. And so that faith gives us the power to perceive what can be done. We know that there is a substance. It is a substance of good. It is there for us. And we have the faith and the belief to be able to use that substance to create. But we need to use the final key. We need to be able to unlock our imagination. Because if we don't use our imagination, then we are going and building from something from the past. We are not building and creating something new. We are not giving birth to something creative within us. Imagination combined with faith is known as our capacity of perception. And there is something that we can do. When we are being creative, and a beautiful, beautiful example of this is my mother. We got together for a family Thanksgiving one year at our house. And Mom walked in, we had the table set with dishes and, all your normal, everything that you need for a Thanksgiving dinner. She walked in, she looked at the table, she didn't say anything. She turned around and walked outside into my backyard. And she came back and she had in her hands twigs, leaves, a few flowers. It's like, what you gonna do with those, Mom? And she made the best table decoration and decor that ran the whole length of the table and was so inviting that everybody who came was like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. Who did this? And it was my mom. It's how she sees the world. That creative aspect, things that we see as dried old leaves and twigs, becoming this absolutely gorgeous centerpiece that people are oohing and awing over and actually taking pictures of. That's this imagination. And the truth is, we all have it. We may have buried it. We may have suppressed it. But we have it. We have this creative force within us because that's spirit. That is spirit, God, creator, source, trying to speak through us. We are created out of the most creative substance that is absolutely possible. So it amazes me. And I don't know if any of you have ever gone onto Etsy or, on YouTube or any of these places, or just typed in Google, type in a word, pixies, and you will see, or owls, or anything, and you'll see nature pictures, but then you'll see these creations that people have made, and you go, how did they even think to create that? Like, how did their mind even go there? It's because they used imagination. Imagination gives form to the direction that our faith takes. So we have this substance, and it's potential. It's anything and everything. It has no form. It's immaterial. It's invisible, but it's there, and it's waiting to become. And it needs our faith that when we apply our imagination to it, something wonderful is going to happen. Now, the beauty of this substance, the beauty of spirit, the beauty of God, the beauty of source, is that it's given us freedom. And in that freedom, we are the designer of life. And sometimes that can be very scary. And we can misuse our thinking. It is our strongest gift and it is our greatest weakness. It is our strongest gift because we can change it at any moment in time and we can create. And the universe rises up and says, here you go, sister. But we can also create, instead of wonder, we can create the lack and limitation that exists. And we do that with our doubts and our fears and our sense of, are we worthy enough? We have a banner here, and I love it. And every time I look at it, it strengthens me. Because it's what Ernest Holmes says. There is nothing between us and God but our own thoughts and beliefs. And the reason why it strengthens me is because it reminds me at the very core of who I am, I have the power to change. And I can do it easily. I don't have to do it fighting, kicking, and screaming and being dragged by the hair. I can allow myself to change with ease and effortlessness. If I am currently experiencing a lack of some kind, by looking at those words, by remembering those words, by taking them to heart, there is nothing between us and God. There is nothing between me and God but my own thoughts and my own beliefs. And so if there is something to be released, it is not being released by God. It is being released by me. And I just need to exhale. I need to take a moment and let that go. And then I have to use the keys that I have been given, because we have all been given the keys to the kingdom here on earth. That's right. Heaven's right here. Hell is right here. It's our choice. And we've been given the keys to make it heaven. And 3 of those very useful keys is the understanding of what substance is, our acceptance of it, our belief that it is there for us. It is our faith that lives and breathes in us, and we use it even if we don't call it that. And it is our imagination. It is that tapping into that creative force that creates, that is the driving part to make it happen. One of the drawings that I have here is that if you imagine that there is a battery, and that battery requires an ignition, and that ignition starts over your engine in your car, and an idea is created. That battery we liken to substance, to the Christ power that is. And that ignition switch, that is our imagination and our belief. That is what kickstarts the motor running. And then we have that engine. And that engine, it's the perceiving power that we have that we call faith, that says to us truth, not truth. And then when you put those 3 things together, we have the manifestation, we have the creation of what it is that we desire. The life we choose to live from abundance, to live from lack, using the law in the opposite direction of the way it could go. This universe does not think for us. It does not play favorites. It's here. It is just here. And it is awaiting our impression to attract into our lives that which we have stated by our use of these 3 keys. And it brings it into fruition. It brings it into creation. So I'm going to share with you a little video. And it's Esther Hicks talking as Abraham about the law of attraction. And if you open and listen with these 3 keys that I've talked about, you'll hear it in a slightly different way than you've heard it before. And so it is.
And in all of that, there is perfect balance. And so we come forth not to alter your beliefs, but to reacquaint you with the eternal laws of the universe.
Start over.
We come forth not to get you to believe anything. We see great diversity in that which you believe. And in all of that, there is perfect balance. And so we come forth not to alter your beliefs, but to reacquaint you with the eternal laws of the universe. And we are here to express all of that to you in detail. If you knew your potential to feel good, you would ask no one to be different.